Hey guys, welcome back. So as promised in the Athens in a nutshell video, this is the Mykonos in a nutshell video. So as I stated, these videos are going to be based around my personal pros and cons of each place that I visit, as well as my own personal recommendations. So let's get started. So again, starting with the cons, the first con I would say about Mykonos is that you're probably going to be spending a little bit more there than you probably would in other places. Now, again, I've only been to Athens and Mykonos, but in between the two, Athens was definitely cheaper, which is surprising because you typically would expect that a city would be a lot more expensive. But I think that Mykonos has kind of grown culturally to be more of like a social, hub. I think it's become like a party place for a lot of, millennials, people my age to go to and enjoy the nightlife and, the beach and everything like that. So, well, beaches. So I think that could be why they take advantage of the more expensive prices, or it just could be because there's not that many people there in the first place. So yeah, I would say the first con, probably the most important, is that you're going to be spending a little bit more money. It's still very affordable though. I would say the second con is more of like a pro and a con, depending on how you look at it, but it is very spread out. And depending on where you stay, whether you stay like on a beach or in a beach resort, or if you stay in Mykonos town, you're gonna have to take transportation to and from where you need to go. Most of the time, a lot of the activities you might have planned, or just a lot of the sites you'll want to see, is in Mykonos town. And unless you're staying in Mykonos town, you will have to actually transport there, either using the bus or a taxi. Now, the bus is €2 each way, which is very cheap. But taxis, they vary. So that's definitely something to be aware of. I say it's a con because if you kind of want to keep a tight schedule, it might be a little bit difficult. We actually stayed probably about 15 to 20 minutes away from Mykonos town. I can link the hotel below. We didn't have a difficult time getting to Mykonos town at all, but it's just, if you want to be there by a certain time, you just have to make sure you schedule, your day around getting there. So I hate to say this because Mykonos is actually a very beautiful island and I do recommend it, but there's just not much to do. It's such a small, like rural island. Like I said in the con before, everything's really spread out and everything's pretty concentrated in Mykonos town as far as things you could do, see, buy, eat, all of that good stuff. So if you're someone who like craves adventure or just doing something like super different than what you're used to doing, Mykonos isn't really the best place to go, unless you're coupling it with, say, going to Athens or going to Santorini, or like going to a whole bunch, different islands or places in Greece, because again, it's really just rural, not that much going on there. However, I will say it has a pretty live nightlife. As I've heard, we actually didn't get to experience the nightlife, but we did pass by quite a few like lounges and clubs, and music was bumping. Like it sounded and looked pretty cool. So if you're into the nightlife, which Mykonos is actually becoming very popular for, definitely check it out. But if you're going there for, something in particular, like a new, you know, excursion or just something again you've never tried before, I wouldn't. I, I just wouldn't expect much from Mykonos. If that makes sense. So, on the flip side of the last two cons, Mykonos is actually very quiet. And again, if you're not staying in Mykonos town where most things are, you'll really kind of just have the perfect, like, tranquil experience. It's so pretty. Even when you step out of like your hotel or your Airbnb, it's just like dead quiet. All you hear is just nature. Like it's gorgeous and it's wonderful. I would honestly suggest going to Mykonos with like a significant other or a small group of friends, or maybe even family perhaps, but I definitely recommend it for like a romantic trip because I think it's kind of like the perfect atmosphere to just be able to be intimate with your partner and just to have like a lot of quiet time and, you know, time to yourselves, and really just be in a space where you're just not having a lot of distractions. I think it's perfect for that type of situation. The beaches are amazing, okay? Granted, I only went to Paradise Beach, but from what I heard, all the beaches are fantastic. Now, Paradise Beach actually had a resort, maybe even two, right on the beach, where literally the people who were staying there could just go right outside of their rooms and then they're right on the beach. I want to say there were probably like 5 or 6 beaches maybe that were outlined to us. There were like 3 or 4 that were actually really close to each other. So if you happen to stay in a hotel that gives you like a map, you can ask them to kind of, you know, point out the closest beaches. And truthfully, we stayed in Paradise View Hotel. And I mean, we were in walking distance of the beach. So if you decide not to stay on the beach or in one of the resorts, I would suggest definitely trying to get a hotel that's in walking distance of the beach. Again, they're fantastic. I'm sure the sunsets are gorgeous, but it's just such a great atmosphere. They're clean. And what's awesome about it is that Paradise Beach in particular, and again, I'm sure it's, you know, all across the board, but Paradise Beach actually had quite a few restaurants and bars and things like that right on the beach as well. So you could literally sit in like a little seat that you don't have to rent. They're totally free. You can sit in the seat and you can just order drinks and food and it can be brought right to you, and it's still affordable. I said it's a little bit more expensive to shop and eat and everything in Mykonos, but it's still pretty good prices for what you're gonna get in Europe. So anybody who loves Instagram or really just sharing photos on any social media is gonna love Mykonos because it's very picturesque. I probably took more pictures in Mykonos alone than in the 4 days that we stayed in Athens, because although Athens is a city and there's so much stuff to take pictures of, Mykonos just has that extra like picturesqueness. Like there's nothing to, it's hard to describe, but when you go there you'll know. Like you could take pictures of everything, whether you're on the beach or whether you're in Mykonos town, or even when you're just driving through the island of Mykonos. It's extremely picturesque, and I think it being an island and being small enough to, you know, be able to see just about everything at once kind of helps. But I mean, it's gorgeous and it's so bright and colorful, and I mean, what more could you want?
And here are my recommendations for Mykonos. Visit Slovaki Story at least once. The food is amazing, it's affordable, and the portion sizes are great. Take a stroll to Little Venice in Mykonos town. Little Venice has tons of shops and restaurants, and if you stick around till about 8:30 p.m., you'll be able to see the most gorgeous sunsets. You can explore Mykonos town in about a day. Actually, more like less than a day. So plan your day accordingly. Mykonos also has great nightlife, so make sure you check that out if you're interested.
So once again, I hope that you enjoyed this video and that you found it helpful. If you haven't seen my Athens in a nutshell video, check that out. And if you also haven't seen my travel vlog for Greece, also check that out. Okay? Until the next adventure, see ya.